Hi everyone, this is immigration lawyer Michael Ashoori, and today we're going to talk about the difference between the L1 visa and the EB1C visa. So both of these options have a lot of similarities, however they're different in many ways as well. So in this video I want to highlight the differences. So to get started, let's do a quick intro to the L1 visa. So the L1 visa is a non-immigrant visa which allows a foreign company to transfer a worker to a related U.S. company. There must be a qualifying relationship between the two companies. The foreign worker must have worked for 1 year continuously in full-time employment for the foreign company, and the employment with the foreign company must have been in a managerial, executive, or specialized knowledge capacity, and the employment with the U.S. company must be in a managerial, executive, or specialized knowledge capacity as well. Now, regarding EB1C, let's do a quick overview of the EB1C visa. The EB1C visa is an immigrant visa. Similar to the L1, it allows a foreign company to transfer a worker to a related U.S. company. There must be a qualifying relationship between the two companies. The worker must have worked for 1 year full-time in continuous employment with the foreign company. And the employment with the foreign company must have been in a managerial or executive capacity. There's no specialized knowledge option. Similarly, with the U.S. company, the employment must be managerial or executive. No specialized knowledge allowed for under EB1C. So now that we've gone through those quick overviews, let's discuss the differences. So the first main difference is the immigrant versus non-immigrant visa. The L1 visa is a non-immigrant visa and is therefore temporary and does not lead to a green card. Contrarily, the EB1C visa is an immigrant visa and therefore leads directly to a green card and lawful permanent residence. So this is one of the main differences between these two options. And now to kind of expand more so on that first point about non-immigrant versus immigrant, we'll discuss the differences in work authorization. So under the L1 visa, you're only authorized to work for the U.S. company that filed your L1 petition on your behalf. You're only authorized to work for your petitioner, for the U.S. company that filed the L1 petition on your behalf. Whereas under the EB1C visa, you receive a green card, which is U.S. lawful permanent residence. As a U.S. lawful permanent resident, you're eligible to work for any company in the United States once you have your green card. So that's another big difference. Another main difference, again, which ties to this whole immigrant versus non-immigrant classification, is the duration of the visa. With the L1 visa, you are tied to a certain period of authorization, a maximum period of stay, if you will. The L1 visa has a maximum duration of 5 years for L1B and 7 years for L1A, whereas the EB1C leads to a green card, which can be renewed over and over again without limitation. So another thing I want to discuss is this whole issue with specialized knowledge versus managerial or executive, which is another big difference between L1 and EB1C. The L1 visa allows you to have worked in a specialized knowledge capacity for the foreign company and also allows you to come to the US to work for the US company in a specialized knowledge capacity. This is what we were talking about earlier when we were doing the quick intro into L1 and EB1C. L1 allows for specialized knowledge employment, both with the foreign company and the US company. However, EB1C does not have a specialized knowledge option. To qualify for EB1C, your employment for the foreign company and your employment for the US company must have been in a managerial or executive capacity. Specialized knowledge does not qualify under EB1C. Another difference that I want to highlight is something regarding new offices versus existing offices. So under L1, under the L1 visa, someone can come to the US, essentially someone can be transferred to the US to set up a new company or to work for a brand new company. This is a company that's been operational for less than a year. It's called the L1 new office. However, there's no such exception under EB1C. Under EB1C, the US company that you're being transferred to work for must have been operational for at least 1 year before you can apply for EB1C. So that's another major difference between EB1C and L1. Now, lastly, I'd like to address something regarding the scrutiny and the way that these applications are adjudicated. With L1, well, I'll go back and say this. EB1C leads to a green card. Okay, green card means U.S. lawful permanent residence, which is a very major benefit. It's permanent. It provides, as a U.S. permanent resident, you have a lot of benefits, so many more than you do as an L1 visa holder, which is a non-immigrant visa, which is temporary in nature. Because the EB1C confers such a high benefit, it may be reviewed with higher scrutiny. So whereas you might get, if you're meeting the L1 requirements, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to have satisfied the EB1C requirements. Even though the requirements may be, like the way the requirements are stated, they might look identical. That doesn't mean that if you're found to have satisfied the requirements under L1, that you will have been found to have satisfied the requirements under EB1C. Again, because EB1C is conferring such a greater immigration benefit, that the requirements may be reviewed more strictly under EB1C. So that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're considering these options. So what I wrote here, so even though many of the requirements are the same, the requirements for EB1C may be adjudicated more strictly. Now, another thing I want to quickly touch upon is converting from L1 to EB1C. This is a very popular option. So I just want to address a couple of things that you should keep in mind when doing this. So first, make sure that your employment with the foreign company was managerial or executive in nature. As I discussed, under EB1C, specialized knowledge employment does not qualify. Your employment for the foreign company must have been managerial or executive in order to qualify for EB1C. So if you're going from L1 to EB1C, it's very important that your employment with the foreign company must have been managerial or executive in nature. Now, your U.S. company, as we just discussed, it must have been operational for at least 1 year. So make sure that before you apply for EB1C, that the U.S. company has been operational for at least 1 year. And lastly, make sure that your employment for the U.S. company is managerial or executive in nature. Again, very similar to bullet point number 1 on this slide, specialized knowledge work does not qualify. So make sure that your employment with the U.S. company is managerial or executive in nature. So those are the differences between the L1 visa and the EB1C visa. I hope you found this video helpful. If so, please go ahead and subscribe to our page for similar videos that we'll be posting regularly. If you have any questions at all, I have my contact information in the details below. Go ahead and check that out. And thanks so much for tuning in.